Okay, so I wanted to show you guys a little tool that I just built that I am having some fun with. So there's been a lot of cool metronome apps over the years, and the problem is that the older I've gotten, I find myself using a metronome less and less. Um, and it got me thinking about this idea of what if there was a way to make a metronome that wasn't all about keeping machine like precise time, but one that was about keeping deliberately unequal musical time to sort of capture more natural conceptions of uh, durations that are based a little bit more on uh, heavy light patterns and things like that. So, this is what I came up with, and I just want to give a little tutorial on how a couple of these features work. So the most basic thing you can do is you can just go and start adding uh, individual beats. And what you'll notice when you add any one beat is that you can input in beats per minute how fast you want that beat to go. And then once you do, you'll notice that the information reacts to you in real time, and you'll see a precise length of time. Here, 98 beats per minute gives you a length of time that's 612 milliseconds. Um, let's just string a couple more together so you see some of the possibilities around stringing different BPMs. I just kind of randomly chose some BPMs here, so we'll just see what it sounds like. And now I'm going to go on, and with my beat timeline set up, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that the loop is on so that we can hear this 4-beat pattern a few times in a row. So once I do that, I go ahead and hit play, and this is what I get. So let's say that you had a problem where you were sort of noticing yourself doing the same push-pull type of rubato. You could actually willfully build the opposite of whatever your habit is. So I said push-pull, so let's do one that's kind of pull-push. Okay, so we've started at 100 BPMs. Over the course of the first 4 beats, we've been getting progressively a little bit slower. And now let's head the opposite direction for another 4 beats. And maybe we'll go a little bit farther than we did in our slowdown. Okay, let's hear what it sounds like. Whoops. Let's hear what it sounds like. Okay, some other ideas around this. You'll notice when you start exploring the BPM capabilities on this that the BPMs can go really low. And so if you want to use this beat to simulate more like a whole measure or a phrase length or something like that, you might experiment with some of these slower values. That brings us to our next feature, though. I'm going to go down here and check out the subdivision profiles. A lot of metronomes nowadays cover different types of subdivisions inside of the regular beat. So oftentimes you can select that you want to hear triplets or you want to hear sixteenths, or in some of the more complex ones you can hear triplets against sixteenths or eighths against sixteenths, eighths against triplets. In this one, what I've done is I've tried to open up all that latitude between the perfectly subdivided subdivisions. So for example, we could start with a division of the beat that grouped 1,000 units, subunits of beat into 2 equal parts, or we could kind of experiment with a deliberately uneven sound. Let's hear what this sounds like if I adjust this guy. So you'll notice I'm about 150 point differential between my 150 parts out of 1,000 differential between my 2 divisions of the beat. And then I'm going to put that on. 20 might be a little slow. Let's bump it up. How about 60? Okay, and now the loop is still on, so I'm just going to go ahead and try this one beat over and over so we can hear the subdivisions that are deliberately unequal. Maybe that sounds a little too uneven, so we're going to go back and edit it. Now we can just say, okay, let's get those two a little bit closer to on the same page. Okay, let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, so we've gone over the subdivision profiles. Obviously, there's a lot more you can do with that, since you can change the number of parts anywhere from 2 parts up. So there's a lot of leeway. You can always hit distribute evenly, start with an even number of subdivisions, and then kind of adjust their ratios to each other as you see fit. The next feature that I want to show you guys is chaining together some repeating patterns. So we're going to take a couple patterns I built and just experiment with putting them together. This is a pattern that I built with some sort of built-in variety of length of beats in sort of a repeating pattern. So we'll add that to our chain. I don't really remember what pattern 2 was. Let's give it a go. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys is this transition feature. Let's say that you had a section in the music that started at one tempo, and then you wanted to have an accelerando that led to another tempo. This feature allows you to do that, and so you just have to say what tempo you start at, what tempo you want to end up at, and how many beats you want to make the transition over. And then this is what's really cool. You've got some different possibilities you can do in terms of the shape of your accelerando. So I believe the one I have saved in here is a asymptotic approach where you sort of start speeding up a lot at the beginning, and then as you get closer and closer to your goal tempo, you kind of level off. So let's just go ahead and chain that one up so you can hear what that sounds like. So you can see now on this graph that I've got 3 different patterns happening. I've got this sort of undulating, little faster, little slower, little faster, little slower, over the course of several beats, getting faster and then sort of starting the whole process over again. So you could call that like a undulating wave kind of a pattern. And then we hop way down to a much slower tempo, and we just sort of stay there for an extended period. And then at the end here, we've got this asymptotic approach to a 8-bar accelerando, essentially an 8-bar doubling of tempo. So let's hear what this sounds like. We are in the undulating portion. Now, slower tempo with 4 subdivisions. And now we've been through the whole chain. So that's a little tour. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about my new Rubato metronome, and I hope you might check it out at rubatometronome.com.